I absolutely love the little stories that you put on your posts with your yarn.
Yeah.
You set a scene and you can see where you got your color inspiration from.
A real path to growth as being a dyer and stuff really is like in person. If there's any offstage areas for dyers or sellers and stuff like that would be so huge for me because I would need to take time off and even like a trunk show at a local yarn store, it would be hard for me to want to be not even want to say that I would want to be there isn't the right way, but have the capability of like
Right.
trying to sell my stuff in person like that.
I really want to see more places putting an emphasis on helping not just the consumers, the attendees of the event, but the vendors.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things.
Let's go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Liv Scott from NeuroStitches. I am the host of the NeuroStitches Business Podcast, and I'm here with Courtney from Apothecary Fiber Co. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, so nice to talk to you.
Really nice to talk to you too. I have been a big fan of your yarn for a while. I love your colors that you do. You and I have very similar color tastes. Yeah, like
Thank you.
especially the pink and purple.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite dye that I have is it's it's called neon pop and it can go purple or pink depending on you just how you use it and stuff and it's I have such a hard time not just wanting to throw it on everything because I love purple and pink too.
That's I have that problem. I will often I'll end up like leaving the house sometimes and I'll be like head to toe in like pink or purple. And it's like I don't mean to do this. It's just when I have like when I have to pick a color, I'm always
Mhm.
like, well, I'm gonna go with
Given
either pink
pink
or
or purple.
purple. Yeah. And then I end up looking like a giant marshmallow piece. But yeah, so you are the owner and dyer of Apothecary Fiber Co. And
Mhm.
how long have you been dyeing yarn?
I started in 2021, so about 4 years at this point. Yeah, I started I actually learned to crochet in well during 2020 during all like the first initial lockdowns and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Um and I don't know how I learned about going from like getting yarn at Michael's to seeing hand dyed yarn.
Mhm.
And that just really started my love for using hand dyed yarn. And I really wanted to try it out. So
Yeah,
that's kind of what got me started is just one thing to the next.
gotcha. And so so you crochet. Do you know how to knit or not? That's you're a crocheter.
I definitely call myself a crocheter. I have
Yeah.
tried so many times to learn knitting, and I feel like I really just need to like go to a class or have someone help me because I just can't. I don't know why. I have tried so many times and it just doesn't click the same way that
Yeah.
crochet clicks for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely primarily crochet.
Awesome. And I love that too because you don't see very many yarn dyers who are primarily crocheters. A lot of yarn
Hmm.
dyers, it seems like, are knitters first. And so I love that because I feel like your colorways work really well with crochet as well. Like they look great on the swatches and stuff. So I love that.
Yeah, it's definitely you definitely see more hand dyers making like crochet swatches and stuff like that, but not as many like samples and stuff. I feel like it's definitely very heavily leaning towards the knitting side.
Yeah.
So it's true. It's nice to have, I wouldn't call it a niche, but just maybe that's more of my thing. And
Yeah.
I like making the samples, and it's fun too because if you're primarily a knitter, or if you are a crocheter, you don't always get to see how things work up
Yep.
since most things are knitted. So
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
nice to be able to show that. And that can translate too from dyer to dyer. If you start seeing how this sample looks like, you might get an eye for how different colorways in general look crocheted.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny because there are some colorways that I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, this looks better knitted up, or
Mhm.
other colorways where I'm like, this should be crocheted. Like it, I love how the stitches and the structure of the stitches bring
Yeah.
out different aspects of the hand dyed yarn. I love
Mhm.
that. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that. So what are you working on right now? Like, what what's a project that you're working on, like crocheting or what are you dyeing right now?
Yeah. Right now, well, I have with me, I've been working on this cloak.
I love
uh,
that.
it's gonna be really big and cozy. This is what I'm currently working on crocheting wise, but honestly, I normally am always, I have so many whips.
Yep.
It's hard to say this is my thing I'm working on because there's a lot of stuff. So, but I did bring this.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, I normally have a ton of whips at once. And I just rotate them. I always, it's funny, I actually always felt badly about that, especially after seeing the social media side of crafting,
Hmm.
where it just, and I know this isn't true, but it always seems like people are just finishing sweaters and they're finishing one, oh, like I can
Yep.
never focus on one thing.
Yep.
But I've just realized like it's not worth it to compare yourself. And I like having a lot to work on because if I have different moods, or I
Yes.
like to bring my projects with me different places. And I don't know, not every this, I do not bring this in the car. It's
Yeah,
too big.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, like you have different whips based off of like your mood and what you're doing. Like I started
Yes.
carrying a what I call a purse project where I
There. Yeah.
just keep it in my bag because
Hmm.
I got so tired of leaving the house and forgetting to bring a project with me.
Yeah.
Like, and then also, yeah, like if you're working on sweaters or like your cloak there, that's too big to bring. Like it gets, especially in the
It's,
summer, like
yeah.
in the
Like right
car.
now,
Do not want
it's,
that.
I don't want it on me.
No, no.
No,
Yeah.
this has become my like either early morning coffee, when I'm like sitting with my daughter, or at night when I can, the sun's done, I can have the fan on because it's already warm.
Yeah. So does your daughter know how to knit or crochet or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
She is 2.5, but
Oh,
she
okay. Yeah.
that
A
would
little
be
young.
amazing.
Yeah, that's a little
But
young.
she she does, she has noticed things like, if I say I have to go to work and stuff, she knows what that means. Like there's a little room I have downstairs, or she likes to try to help me use my spin dryer that I have for my yarn.
Oh, yeah.
Or winding. She loves when I have to wind yarn.
Oh,
So she likes to try to be a part of things that she can.
that's
Um,
amazing. I
it's really
love
cool.
that. I
Yeah.
love that. That's awesome. What is a dream project for you, like within your business? Like, is there like a certain type of like collection or something or collaboration or something that you would just love to like, this is a dream goal of mine?
I think I would say probably a collaboration of some sort. I don't I don't know like to what scale, but it would be so fun to find someone who is like-minded, and especially like inspired by the same type of things. I love fantasy and medieval things so much. I mean,
Yeah.
that in everything in my life, I love trying to incorporate those as much as I can. So
Yeah.
That would be so fun. Whether it's like another dyer, I've seen a couple um like where dyers collaborate and they do a collection, but they each have their own colorways or a designer or something.
Yeah.
But something like
Yeah.
that would just be fantastical and I don't know, whimsical.
I
That would
love
be
that.
my dream.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you and Ross, who was on the first episode,
Yes.
you both are Lord of the Rings fans.
Yeah.
And I love that because me and my husband were massive Lord of the Rings fans. So I think, do you have a colorway called Second Breakfast? Am I
I
remember?
do. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I love
Yep.
that. That's
I
amazing.
just dyed some this week, actually.
Did
I
you?
dyed a
That must
couple
have been where
pans.
I saw. I must have saw it on your Instagram stories or something. But I don't know if you ever have this problem. But sometimes I will get yarn that I love like so much, or that it's
Mhm.
like so good that I'm like, okay, I have to find the perfect pattern for this. Like I have to find a pattern that's worthy of this
Of the
yarn.
yarn.
And I got the three skeins from you. The Fayberry pie,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
the Rune Brew, and
Hmm.
I'm
I
blanking on
think the Violet Vial, that pink
that
one, I
one.
think. Yeah.
Yes. I I love those three together, and I have started like three different projects with those to like do like kind of like a fade thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like this isn't good enough. Like it's not showcasing the yarn good enough, so I've like frogged it and stuff. And I don't know if you ever do that, but like I'll occasionally come across some yarn and I'm like I gotta find the perfect project for this yarn.
Yeah. Kind of becomes like a dragon horde a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, I gotta save this for the perfect project. And yeah, that's something I'm trying to work on, though, is trying to pick out the pattern and project first and then purchase
Yes.
the yarn.
Hmm.
That's something that I've been consciously trying to do for this year.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work, but it's good to for me to have a goal in that mindset because
Hmm.
otherwise, my stash will get out of control with these just random, beautiful
I know the
skeins
one
of
like
yarn.
one-offs and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to save those kind of purchases for
Mhm.
like when I go in person or like to like a festival or a yarn crawl, and
Mhm.
I'm there in person. I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. So I've been trying to be a
Yeah,
little bit
that's kind of
more.
more special. Like you're in person
Yeah.
and okay, I'm gonna get this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I always call them a yarn souvenir. And I'm like,
Yes. There
oh,
you
this
go.
is I because I got this one my splurge purchase. I went to the New York Sheep and Wool Festival last year. Right, also known as Rhinebeck
Right back.
for those of you who don't know. But I had a splurge purchase of Miss Babs yarn. It was
Mhm.
a cashmere silk blend.
Oh wow.
And it was one of those things where like I saw it and I loved the color and I was like, I have to have this. And then I felt it and
So soft.
I was like, I have no choice here.
Yeah.
It
And that's
it jumps.
special too.
Yeah, yeah. And so I created a cowl. And so now I always think of that every time like that trip and stuff, every time I wear that. So I like doing that. Like
Hmm.
it's like creating memories with the yarn and stuff. Like I always
Yeah,
say,
you'll always
yeah, like
remember
some
that
people
trip.
buy like t-shirts, some people buy
Hmm.
shot glasses or coffee mugs when they travel places. I'm like, I'm getting yarn. One of the things I was curious about is like, how do you do you have any tips or tricks or things that you even struggle with regarding like balancing self employment and
Hmm.
rest? Like how do you deal with those things?
Yeah, it's such a hard thing because the lines are so blurred. Obviously, you're working from home, and it's not even just working from home, but working for yourself from home, the place you relax and live. It can be hard to take the time to relax without feeling guilt, right? Because you're like, oh, I could really be working right now. I that is a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
Um, it was definitely easier for me before I had my daughter
Hmm.
to maybe draw those lines because my time was my own, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
so now maybe mine might be a little unique, but I really look forward to my time of being able to work. It's kind of like my time that I get to myself to like recharge and be creative and things like that. Um, so I don't know. I guess just if you're self-employed, like working from home, really listen to yourself. And like I've had times before where there's maybe a collection I want to do, but like it's not going right or something like that. Like you can't really, at least for myself, I can't force myself to make something happen like that. And a lot of times that means I just need to take a step back. Um, and when I think about the times that have been like that, where it's been a struggle, normally after I take that little break, I make something really great afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a writer's block or something like that, like a creative block. So even though it's hard as someone who's self-employed, like because you have to make things to make your money to pay your bills, sometimes you do have to listen and try to take those breaks if you can.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and especially like to avoid burnout, or things like that, which has been a difficult lesson to learn for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I also struggle with that too, and
Hmm.
having to pause something and put something down, especially
If I'm really into it,
Yeah,
right? Like that's
yeah.
part, like being like autistic, I can go down the rabbit hole of
Hmm.
like our special interests, which to me it's yarn and knitting and crocheting and
Yeah.
so it's easy for us, I feel like, to not hear the warning signs our bodies are giving us to
Hmm.
rest because
Hmm.
we're just so interested in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to hear those signals sometimes, but I'm glad that you're you seem to have found a good balance, especially with your daughter and stuff. And maybe
Hmm.
those boundaries that you've had since having your daughter have helped
Hmm.
keep that balance. Because like what you said, like your time was completely your own before your daughter's, so now, yeah, you have to like take the her needs and stuff into consideration. And
Yep.
I always find that easier for me.
Hmm.
It's easier for me to like put someone else first
Hmm.
than it would be for me to be like, okay, I need to stop for me. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like
I
as a
can relate to that too.
yeah.
um Definitely, like I'm autistic as well, and I feel like before my daughter was born, I I'm always introspective, but having her made me like really learn a lot about myself and have to face things like being autistic, was something that, as just an adult,
Hmm.
I could, I basically just made my life the way it made sense to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that was really, I don't know, I guess being in my comfort zone with things. And
Yep.
then having my daughter really just kind of blew the doors open on that and made me have to face things, I guess, and
Yeah.
try to like, I don't know, I guess understand myself more. I don't really know where I'm going with all this,
You're
but
fine. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Along those lines of how do you when you are, because like I go through waves and stuff of like I'll be super productive and
yeah.
then I have a low of where I've burnt myself out
Hmm.
and I'm feeling like unmotivated and I'm having a hard time like getting out of that slump.
Hmm.
So I guess like what we're talking, I guess what I'm asking is about executive functioning and stuff. Like when we have a hard time motivating and stuff, how do you like when you're dealing with a slump of being like unmotivated or something, or maybe you don't even like have those ebbs and flows. I mean, we're all so different, but how do you tend to pull yourself out of a slump of being unmotivated?
I definitely get that. That's one thing I've realized a pattern of is sort of when something maybe that is sort of like a rabbit hole type thing.
Yeah.
Um, for myself, like when I just speaking in terms of being a dyer, like if I get an idea for a collection, um, it it's just a burst of energy for however long that takes to like complete it. Um, the like creative process, I can picture exactly what I want and just getting it all done. It's so rewarding. I sometimes have trouble thinking about other things. Like that's all I want to do.
Yes.
And then when I get towards the end of that, so for me, I would say that comes to like once the social media aspect of it is done. So this is over the course of a couple weeks, right?
Right.
Maybe like a month or so, at least for my scale. Once I get to that end portion, I do always get burnt out. And I kind of describe it as a mild, like depressive low, really. I get really low energy and as you said, like unmotivated. And that's something I've recognized that pattern in myself every time. And I guess the way I get through it is knowing my limits. Like I'm very good at knowing, um, especially of a pre-order collection, like what my limits are. I never go above what I know is feasible. I always come under like my projected times. Like that is so important. And I'm sure even for people who aren't neurodivergent and you're a self-employed person, like don't stretch yourself so thin. Um,
Yeah.
that's helpful. Basically kind of setting myself up for success because I know I'll have that little slump so that I can get everything done and just trying to keep things as low pressure, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then after a collection is done, it's normally a while, like before inspiration hits me. And I don't force it. It'll come to me when it comes to me. And
Ah,
it is what it
I
is.
love that.
Hmm.
No, that's so amazing too. Like that you because you can tell that you've clearly like learned this over time.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
it's a lesson that you've learned, and I love that you're planning your dye schedule around like your energy levels too.
Hmm.
About like I do that. I do something similar to where if I go to like a social event or something,
Hmm.
I've now started planning what I call buffer days. So like
Yes.
the day before and the day after the event, I
Yep.
like block it out on my calendar. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to what I call hermit. And it's just like basically taking all the sensory input and dimming it down.
Yeah.
Comfy clothes, comfort shows, low lighting, like, quiet, soothing stuff. Like,
Hmm.
and it sounds like you do something similar too, of like once the collection ends, like you take some time and regroup and stuff. Kind of along that note, with social media and everything that's been going on, like I feel like Instagram is not what it used to be, and
Hmm.
that's like frustrating for a lot of us. So, do you, I guess, how do you feel about the role social media plays in your business? And do you, because some neurodivergent people find that social media is easier for them to connect with others
Hmm.
versus like in person or traditional like marketing and stuff. How do you feel like, or is it, I've talked to some people who say social media amplifies all of their issues with social interaction and stuff. And I'm somewhere in between. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I get frustrated because someone has clearly misinterpreted my tone over social media.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like that's like something I deal with in real life with
Yes.
people, and it's just
Hmm.
like amplified even more on social media. But so how do you feel about it?
Yeah. It's definitely a love-hate relationship aspect of having a business. Um,
Yeah.
I when I took a break from dyeing last year for like personal reasons, like things that were happening in my life, but there was also a feeling of just social media was just feeling like too much. And the it's hard. I know a lot of people say this, like the difficulty of marketing oneself.
Yes.
And it's so hard to feel like a product, I guess. Like I think that's what I was feeling of just wanting to be more than and connect with people more than just trying to sell this to you.
Yep.
Because like I'm a person, I want to have connections with people. So for me, when I stopped dyeing, I did make like a personal page, which is public. I guess it's like a crafter's account, really. I mean, it's mostly just crochet, but
Yeah.
that was nice um because it just separated the two, at least for me, so I could feel like there's my business account,
Yep.
but then I have my personal account as well where I could do like just be myself and share things, and that's helped take that pressure off.
Yeah.
um I know, like, I've definitely made some really great connections with people on through Instagram, and I would consider them friends.
Yep.
Um, not just Instagram friends, like friends.
Yep.
And that's one of the hardest things for me is like social relationships and things like that. Um, so I'm definitely grateful to have a space like that where you can foster relationships, even though it's still difficult, and I always question myself,
Yeah.
just like how in real life with social interactions and stuff. But it's complicated.
Yeah. And also like one thing that a lot of autistic people struggle with, and I do this too, of I think like someone's a friend, but maybe they think that we're acquaintances or something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, so that also tends to get amplified for me on social
Hmm.
media too. But I love that you have like two accounts because that
Hmm.
helps. It sounds like it helps balance you.
It does.
Yeah.
I feel like before I made my second account, it was mixed. Like if I wanted to share something to my stories or something, like I love artists and things like that, whatever, just share it to my stories. But it's so nice having the separation, at least for myself.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
love that.
hopefully not losing like my voice on my business account. But
How have you seen being no like neurodivergent or I guess specifically here autistic positively contributed to like your creations or what are some negatives too that you've found?
I would say positives really would be like, I mean, everyone who dies yarn is going to be creative, but I do attribute like a lot of my themes and stuff like that, and the colors that I come up with from that, and especially like the rabbit holes that I go down with fantasy worlds and stuff like that. Like it really becomes like a living thing to me, with writing things for each of my collections, and even more than I share. Like my phone is so filled up with like stories and notes and things like that, which all for me really help tell a story, um, through my yarn. And
Yeah.
I do contribute that to my, at least for me, how I am with being autistic. Like
Yeah.
it, it's all just, I don't know, it just makes the experience for me so fun. And um, that's what I would consider probably the biggest positive. And the negatives, I think really would be trying to like difficulties in making connections with other people, other dyers and things like that. I have a really hard time. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, but just I guess I just question myself so much with conversations and stuff like that. It's
Yes.
just hard.
Yes. Yeah. Like I'll think about this all weekend. I'll be like,
Yeah.
did I say something rude or offensive without meaning to? Like I'll play it back. And even if I know that a
Mhm.
conversation has like went well and stuff, I still second guess and question
Yeah.
that. Like, oh, I hope I didn't like offend that person by
Mhm.
accident or something. I I I'm like that too, where you question it and stuff. And I think going back to what you were saying about the positives of like, I think one of the things being autistic, we can have extremely vivid imaginations. And I
Mhm.
so see that in your work. I absolutely love the little stories that you put on your posts with your yarn.
Yeah.
You set a scene and you can see where you got your color inspiration from. And
hmm
I think a lot of us too, I think this is a common thing with neurodivergent people is how big of a role color plays for us.
hmm
But yeah, your creativity and your color work is amazing. Like um how you put together the three skeins. It's funny because I know your collection had more colors than these three, but I loved them so much. The Room Brew, Violet Vial, and the Fayberry Pie. Those I loved it so much because I wouldn't normally, and I struggle with putting colors together because I get very excited and I love a lot of colors. So I'll like be like, let's bring them all in. And that's like, this is too much. Like, I'm not very good at
Right.
that. So, but I would never have thought to put like the warm brown with the cool toned,
I
like
know.
purple. And they work so well together. I love it so much. Like, that's an amazing thing. Like, I feel like you did something that is really hard to do to put those colors together and make it work. And they just look so, they look like they belong together. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's a fun thing about like color theory, which is not something like I've ever really studied, which you obviously can learn so much from color theory, but especially like when you know, it's like the saying when you know the rules, then you can break them, right? Like
Yes.
it definitely, yeah, it sounds like it would clash so much, but it works. They work so well. And
Yes.
that collection was fun. It was six colorways, and I almost treated it like a fade across
Yeah.
the self, and Room Brew was kind of the middle, having
Yeah.
both like the warm brown and like pumpkiny sides and both the pink and the purple.
Yeah.
Um, that was cool. I liked working with those a lot. I used Room Brew and Fayberry Pie in a shawl, and it's so fun together. And
Yeah.
this actually here,
Yes.
they're
Yes.
together.
Fayberry pie and
Yep,
violet vial.
yep.
What's the darker color? The darkest one?
Oh, just a one of a kind that it was just an experiment. I don't dye a ton of like darker colorways, so this was just something that I had, and it kind of looks funky, but I like it with the purple and
I
pink.
love it.
So
It's a I think it's a perfect complement there for those two. So that's awesome.
good. I'm glad because
Yeah.
I'm too far gone.
Yeah. You were too far in. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
I'm
that.
stuck with this.
Yeah. I love, so what is something you wish like neurotypical or autistic people could understand about you?
First off is just, just not judging someone by their appearances. So many, I think people have a preconceived notion and image in their head of what someone with autism will sound like or look like,
Yeah.
or maybe what kind of life they might have. There's just so much kind of prejudice, and I'm always afraid of being misjudged. Uh, I feel misunderstood so much in my life,
Yep.
um,
Yes.
and that is not a fun feeling.
No, it's not. And it I feel that way a lot as well. And it's like sometimes my husband is really good at pointing this out to me of I will he'll say, I don't think you are meaning to come across this way, but
Hmm.
your tone, and I'm like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not meaning to put that on there. And that's
Mhm.
something that I really wish, like, I've seen there's something lately going around that says, don't, I think Caitlin from one of the Love on the Spectrum seasons, I follow her on Instagram. She has this shirt or campaign with another organization that she works with that says, like, don't hear what I didn't say. And
Yes.
it's like, that struck a chord with me of
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
I,
Feeling like,
yeah,
I don't know, feeling like people are giving you an uncharitable, um, I don't, what's the right word? Like interpretation.
yeah,
All the,
yeah,
like, instead of like hearing the words that I'm saying, I don't know. I deal with that too sometimes. Especially like as a kid, all the time getting in trouble for to my tone or something like that. When
yeah,
I got in trouble a lot,
yeah.
and it's
I
my mom and they just did not understand. But
yeah,
that feeling definitely still follows me into adulthood, kind of haunts me.
absolutely. And now that's something though that you have to give your kid is like you understand the other
Yeah.
side of that and what it's
Hmm.
like. And so to make a difference in like the next generation's life, that's a really beautiful thing. And I feel that way too. One of the things that I always had, like in school, and it followed me through adulthood and like the workplace, is
Hmm.
asking questions.
Yes.
That was probably one of my biggest problems with like the workplace specifically is if you ask a question, sometimes people
Hmm.
take it as like you're challenging their authority or
Yes.
questioning them
Hmm.
or
Or being smart, like, yeah,
yes,
for sure. It's like,
yes, yeah. And it's like,
I,
no, I'm genuine. And so what it turned into then is me having to preface like every question that I would ask
yep.
because I would notice that people would get mad at me or annoyed with me for
Hmm.
asking a question, and it's like I'm I
I'm literally asking
yeah,
this question. That's it.
I just need to know like why are we doing this? And it
Yes.
came from it comes from two places for me. Like a pure curiosity. I like to
Hmm.
know how things work
Hmm.
and also like a learning perspective. I love to learn. And so for me, growth is like don't just tell me to do something.
Hmm.
Like tell me why and why it's important that I need to do this or why. And that was just something I always had that growing up, like with teachers and stuff like, and
Yes.
then in the workplace with superiors and stuff of like, oh, you're being difficult or you're being condescending, like a know-it-all.
Yes.
And it's
Hmm.
like,
Yeah,
I'm not
that sounds
trying to,
familiar to me too.
yes, yeah. And
Yeah.
that I will say that is the nice part about being self-employed is
Hmm.
if you
That's
have a
true.
question about yeah, you just figure it out. Um, and that's been a freeing thing for me since like becoming self-employed is not having to deal with that, the heaviness that comes around with that. And I found that by being around other autistic or and or other neurodivergent people,
Mhm.
they get it too. So it's so nice to work with others who, when you ask a question, they take it at face value.
Right.
And that's what I also love about the collaboration of doing these podcast
Hmm.
interviews because it's just so great to find your community, find your people.
That understanding that it doesn't even need to really be said,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
sort of invaluable. It's so nice.
Yeah.
So, in terms of collaborating with other people, what barriers do you see that prevent you from collaborating with others or, going to fight like vending at fiber
Mhm.
festivals or events or something like that? And is that something like what barriers do you see to that? And what do you think we like, and I say we, like the fiber arts community in general could do better to foster those connections and collaborations?
Vending or like having like a trunk show and stuff like that always sounds, I don't, it always sounds so far away for me, like from something that I would, I don't know, want to, not that I wouldn't want to do it, just like maybe scared to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like kind of like how you talked about having like buffer days and stuff like that earlier. I so relate to that. Like, I don't know, social meter gets depleted so quickly, which is unfortunate because I feel like such an important way and probably going forward, like a real path to growth as being a dyer and stuff really is like in person, whether
Mhm.
that's at a yarn show or shop or a big like market or something. I suppose like, and maybe they already do, but big places like Rhineback or different yarn shows like that, being upfront about like what if there's any offstage areas for dyers or sellers and stuff like that would be so huge for me because I would need to take time off and throughout the day, just like breaks and stuff like that. And maybe they do. But I know that would be something that I would look for. Even like a trunk show at a local yarn store, it would be hard for me to want to be not even want to say that I would want to be there isn't the right way, but have the capability of like
Right.
trying to sell my stuff in person like that,
Yeah.
in a small space like that. And actually, especially with myself, who's not much of a knitter, that would be a little more difficult too. But yeah, I guess just having knowing that I could have the ability to walk off stage for a little bit would be important. And then
Yeah.
for online, there are yarn collabs and stuff that especially I feel like mid-range dyers do a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes it feels like you kind of all have to be friends.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that inclusive to me sometimes. And
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just speaking for myself. That's just how sometimes it can come across to me. So maybe just opening the doors for more people.
Yeah.
But
I I 100% agree. And I think that a real barrier of entry of people of neurodivergent business owners in the fiber arts industry
mhm,
is the lack of supports available to
mhm,
the business owners themselves. Like I talk a lot about like accessibility at yarn events and fiber festivals and stuff.
mhm,
And the thing I think I'm not I'm advocating for those things not just for the consumer, but also for the vendors themselves because
yeah,
that's part of what contributes to the wage
Gap, the unemployment rate of autistic adults is if
for
you're
sure.
not having an inclusive event, if you're not having accessible spaces for vendors,
Hmm.
they're not that's something that is holding them back. They can't participate in, and that's really affecting their growth and their income at the end of the day too. And it's I really want to see more places putting an emphasis on helping not just the consumers, the attendees of the event, but the vendors.
Yeah,
Because if you really, to me, and I know that there are probably a lot of different um, versions of this, but the best way I think people could help autistic people right now
hmm,
is supporting us by buying our products, are using our services, hiring us, working with us.
hmm,
Because, I mean, like, the unemployment rate for autistic adults is about 80%. That's like the latest
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
just insane.
it's crazy. Like that's an insane number,
Yeah.
uh, especially because so many autistic adults want to work
Hmm.
and can work and would be
Yeah.
great employees, but because of prejudice or lack of accommodations, they they're
Right.
not getting those opportunities and stuff. And so I really hope to see some more supports. Like the other thing that I think would be helpful, because what you were saying too about you were saying about how like you see some yarn dyers working together, but like you see they're mostly already friends.
Yeah.
And I agree. And I find that too because like
Hmm.
it's scary to approach someone to ask for support if you think like I think we're better friends than what you think we are, so you
Yes.
may not think it's appropriate for me to ask you for help. And one thing that I think could help that is if the actual event organizers
Hmm.
offered relief people to like come into your booth when you need a break
Right.
or something
Hmm.
to just like run the transactions and the sales for a little bit for you. And I think Flock Fiber Festival, I want to say during one of the years, I think I heard something. I could be misremembering this or being the wrong event, but I thought that there was something where if you were a yarn dyer vending there and you got like COVID, they
Mm.
had
Okay.
volunteers who were willing to help make those like stay at your booth and make those sales for you.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, why stop there? Like, like
Yeah.
let's have that available to others because that's totally something that I would volunteer for as an attendee at one of these events. And I know that there's a lot of other people who would love to help out and do that with other people. And so I think that it would be an interesting thing to explore. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm not sure the logistics and stuff of it, but there's no judgment in brainstorming. Uh,
No.
so I
Yeah.
just think like that's like maybe a good idea because then I agree with you about like you want to ask for those supports, but you're not really sure. And like I spoke with
Mhm.
in our last episode with Ross, Nocturne Studios, and Undercover Otter, they are all located in the Netherlands, and he told me how they help each other out like
Mhm.
at these markets they'll take breaks and the other one
Oh,
will
that's
cover for
cool.
them. I
Hmm.
love that, but the problem is if you don't have a friend who is also like a yarn
Yes.
dyer who lives like near
Right.
you and stuff, then that's so that's a
It's still
version.
like fixing
Yeah.
a problem yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And exactly. And so it'd be really cool if event organizers could do something like that to help out
Hmm.
autistic and neurodivergent business owners.
Yeah, that would be huge. It would definitely make me feel way more confident about trying something like that, and that would be so awesome. I'm sure um, it's must be such a great feeling to be able to be parts of to be a vendor at Rhineback and all the other. I know that I'm on the West Coast right now, and there's some that aren't that far away from me. But yeah, that's always been a barrier for me to not even look because I always just maybe from before I start like when I had my other job and stuff, just assuming like, oh, there's not going to be like accommodations or even like any thought
Yeah.
that even went into that.
Hmm.
So I've just never
Yeah.
never pursued that.
Well, I am happy if I ever get out to the West Coast. I will be more than happy to help you out because I love your yarn and I feel like I would be a really good salesperson for that.
Sure, I'm going back to the East Coast soon, so
Oh, good, good. That's awesome.
I used to do dyed to order with my
Okay.
yarn. So I always had like a big collection of so many colorways. And I definitely had better just like natural traffic and visibility through the Etsy app when I
Yeah.
did that, which obviously makes sense, right? Because I would
Yeah.
have way more listings. But I almost all of my sales now directly come from Instagram, like through my
Oh,
followers.
oh,
Um,
good.
it's which is nice and also a little more scary too.
Yeah,
Sometimes it does make me wonder if I should go back to a bit of a die to order, I don't know, like setup.
yeah,
But Etsy has definitely, it's definitely changed a lot. I mean,
yeah.
there's AI stuff all over Etsy,
I
which is
know.
so unfortunate. And even just talking within the fiber community and patterns and stuff, it's terrible. There
Yeah,
are so many AI patterns, and these people they're just going
yeah,
to delete their account. Like they're going to take your money, and
yep,
they're not going to have any repercussions.
yeah. I've seen
It's really
stealing.
unfortunate.
I've seen like the pattern theft, like because I'm
Yeah.
a newer crochet pattern designer, but that's something that I pay attention to. Of
Mhm.
you have other designers who are flat out getting their patterns stolen and being sold on there.
Totally.
But then also I've seen with yarn dyers too, where someone will use their pictures, like the
That's
photos that you guys put together, and then it's not funny, but it's just like
just
insane
the
to me that
gall. Yeah.
like and then they what you see the consumer ends up with is like nothing like the
It's so
picture.
terrible.
It's like, yeah, because you never dyed that. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Etsy and Instagram, it makes me sad, like the changes that are happening. Like
Yeah.
I miss the way Instagram used to be. And then Etsy, it's like ever since they opened the door with print on demand, which I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with print on demand. Um, because like what you said, a lot of
Mhm.
artists, that's how they are able to, make their artwork and then
Yeah.
also offer it more affordably for people,
Mhm.
which is great. But the problem I have with it is Etsy was all supposed to be like handmade, like,
Vintage or handmade.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I know.
that they're not even following their own guidelines. But um I'm glad that you're still like able to have success and stuff with Etsy. I will say the ease of shopping with like your yarn through Etsy is really nice, like and convenient
Yes. Yeah,
um
for as
from the consumer.
many problems that Etsy has,
Yeah.
and I know there are sellers who complain about the fees. I don't have a problem with the fees because of the fact that it's so easy for me to set it up. I mean,
Yeah.
I tried having a website before and it's so hard. I mean, even the
Oh yeah.
fact that Etsy takes care of the taxes for you.
Yes.
That is honestly my favorite thing about it.
Right. You don't have
It
to worry about it. Yep.
Nope. Um yeah, that's kind of one of the main things why I don't want to have my own website. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, right.
So
Right.
Do you have any like special collections coming up, or like what's your next collection that you're working on, and how can people find you and stuff?
yeah, I do actually have a collection coming up soon. I actually have all the yarn and the swatches right in the corner staring at me. um, it's called The Gilded Hunt, and it's loosely inspired by all of the unicorn tapestries. Um, and just the idea of, mythical creatures and medieval kingdoms. So, that's what I have coming in July, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
yes, I say this every time, but I think it's my best work yet.
Oh, that's great.
So
That's
I can't
awesome.
wait.
That's
Um,
amazing. Wait, so where can do you have a website or like Etsy, or like how should people shop your shop?
yeah. I have an Etsy, so it's
Awesome.
Apothecary Fiber Co. And that's also my Instagram handle too. But yeah.
Great. Awesome. That's perfect. And so is Instagram the best way to keep up to date with you, like updates and stuff? Is that where
Mhm.
you post, or like do you have an email newsletter or something?
Nope, I usually use
Instagram?
Instagram. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, great. And I'll make sure to put those here so people can access them and the links and stuff.
NeuroStitches is an online community connecting neurodivergent folks through the fiber arts such as knitting and crochet. NeuroStitches is completely free to join
and access all the resources within the Discord server. And we operate on a pay what you want model. That way we can remain free and open to everyone. So right now, NeuroStitches relies on individual contributions to keep it operating open and free to everyone. So if you want to support NeuroStitches, please consider buying me a coffee on our Ko-Fi page, or please like, share, and subscribe. And do that anyways, because it's free.
This has been so great chatting with you. I really
I
enjoyed
know.
this. Like, I feel like you and I have been messaging for so long, and then so it's nice to chat with you. But thank
No, it
you
was
so much.
really great. Thank you
Awesome.
a lot just for honestly for everything you do. You've
Oh, thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you. I love your yarn, and I was a big fan of yours, so this was a really cool thing for me to be able to do.
So I really appreciate it. So with Ross, I've been chatting with Ross, messaging, and for some reason, I think I like read his messages in an American accent. So when we first got on, and I heard his
oh yeah, right.
this
You're
thick
Scottish.
Scottish accent, I was like, "Oh my God, I love your accent!" Like,
so funny.
so annoying. Like this uber obnoxious American who's like, you know, I love Scotland and Outlander and stuff. And oh
Right.
yeah, do you like Outlander? Is that because
I
that's like
do like
fantasy.
Outlander.
Oh yeah.
So like some of these colorways were inspired originally by Outlander a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm not doing Outlander, but I'm gonna repurpose them because they're
Yeah.
good.
Oh, awesome.
I love Outlander,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a great. I need to read the books. I broke my own rule. I usually will always read the book before I watch a movie or TV show. But I got pulled into it and binge watched it hard, so I'm not caught up. I need to watch like the latest 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they like split this last season into I think 2 parts. That's
Okay.
I have to watch that one. Somehow I haven't gotten spoiled
Yeah.
on anything yet, but
Yeah.
I know I haven't read the books either.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just
don't
love
either.
Outlander. I can watch especially season 1 of Outlander anytime. Oh, I love season 1 so much.
Oh yeah, I've
It's-
rewatched that one a lot. Yeah.
it's so good.
So hopefully
I don't think I said anything too embarrassing or
No, you didn't. I just love, like as autistic people, we're always just like so worried. Like,
I know. I was so nervous today.
I was too. Like, I am too. And yeah, I don't know. I do this to myself every time, and then I end up like I'll have a wonderful time or something. But I am like, oh my God, I hope I don't upset anyone or. So before we go, because I have to ask, because what is behind you is so beautiful. What is that? Is it a painting or like?
It's a big tapestry. My phone around a little bit, but speaking of like fantasy stuff, it's a
well, that's what it's like. This is so pretty.
like
I have to ask what this is.
Let's see, a dragon landscape. There's little sea creatures.
Oh, I love that.
I forget the artist. She makes such beautiful stuff, and this is just from Society 7. She sells all of her things on there, so I got this nice. It makes a good backdrop.
Yeah, it's really pretty. I love it, and I was like, don't forget to ask about that. Like through the whole time, I was like, don't forget to ask about what that is because it's really pretty.
I can I don't know if you're gonna add to this, but I can send you the artist. So if you want to,
oh yeah, I would love to know that.
Description box or something.
And then you said Society 7. What is that?
Or Society 6. It's like a printing company. So a lot of artists use it so that the artists don't have to have a lot of inventory and stuff like that. It's kind of a print on demand,
but for artists.
Excuse me. Yep.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's a nice way to be able to support.
Yes.
An artist has it. A nice way for them to be able to make money and not have to have a ton of inventory of, like 10-foot huge tapestries, hoping they'll sell.
Yeah. And we're
One of my stems is to crochet a lot.
Mhm.
And so I eventually, like, there's only so many hats I can make
I
for me
know.
and my family. Like, but I like making them or something. So once I get like an inventory built up, I'll like list them, or I'll do like a little local market or something to sell them, just to help fund like my yarn habit, you know?
Right.
And
You're like, I have to make more of these hats.
yeah.